We're back. I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office, North Georgia's only live online morning show. We're joined now with Rick Day. He is the Democrat candidate for the Georgia House District 7. Mr. Day, how are you?
Yeah, that's great. And please call me Rick.
Okay. Rick, you're running for, I always like to open up with this, you're running for House District, Georgia House District 7 on a Democrat ticket. Why are you running for office?
Well, after sitting on the sidelines for most of my adult life, complaining, learning, watching government in action, watching the corporate creep that has slowly taken over our nation's governance, it came to a point to where I felt like I had to be a part of the solution. And you can sit on the sidelines and gripe all day long, but at some point, if you were really dedicated to your country, you're going to step and take up that next step. And so that's what I did. What actually motivated me to run against the incumbent speaker is he made a statement in the paper about the excuses why cannabis is not yet legal, or we don't have a medical cannabis program or robust program like all the other states. What the incumbent basically did is he did this. He pointed up. He says, well, the feds, until the feds schedule everything, totally ignoring the 10th Amendment, totally ignoring the almost majority of other states who have either decriminalization or a full medical or, heaven forbid, even full recreational for adult consumption. And then I realized that man had been in office unopposed for 10 years, had run in this office for 27 years, and the government that we have here in Georgia is his government, is his vision. And so many people's lives have been ruined over casual cannabis consumption, and I put that on the GOP leadership. Not just the state leadership, the federal leadership. They are dragging their feet on the eventual end of prohibition of cannabis. So that was my main reason for running. I had some sub-reasons, but finally it just came to the point that after 40 years of being an advocate for the legalization of cannabis, I realized that nothing was going to happen until one of those jokers got knocked off by somebody who has never run before on that issue. And that's why I am running for this office. It is past time for this state to be in a position where cannabis prohibition is over. And that's why I'm running. And if that incumbent is dragging his feet, he is the log in the log jam. And I want to knock him out of that. And if I can't do anything at all for this state, I'm going to knock that man out of office. And that's why I'm running for this office.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Let's back up a little bit. Let's get people to know a little more about Rick Day. Rick,
okay.
You did, and I think it's important, you did qualify to run at one time in Gilmer County on the Republican ballot against a sitting commissioner here. You were wanting to run for commissioner, and you didn't follow through with that. My words. Why didn't you follow through when you attempted to run for commissioner here in Gilmer County?
That's an excellent question, Chief, and I'm glad you brought it up. At the time of 2016, there was no Democrat entity in Gilmer County at all. The Democratic Party was basically non-existent. There was no device that allowed me to qualify and get on the ballot as a Democrat in Gilmer County. When you have a duopoly that controls who gets on the ballot, you have to make a choice. Okay, so I made the choice. I wanted to become a county commissioner and talk about these issues, about cannabis reform and progress, and bringing the county forward instead of having to drag it back. Then, so I went down and I qualified, and I believe the day after I qualified, I went to the county commission meeting and introduced myself. And the first thing I said, I looked him in the eye, I said, "I am a rhino. I'm a Republican in name only. I am running because this is the only device and this is what I believe in. What I am is I am a political independent. Just like a lot of people, I left the Democratic Party in the late 90s because of the Clintons. They are no friends of mine. They are no fans of mine. And I despise them as much as any conservative does today because of what they've done to our party.
So you left because of the Clintons?
I left because of the Clintons.
Okay, well then wait a minute. Let me get back to the original question.
So yes. So the original
and
question.
I want to come back to you left because of the Clintons, because you are running on the Democrat ticket, so we want to explore that a little bit if you've got time.
Sure.
So let's go with why you did not follow through in running for that office.
Right. So a couple of days after I qualified to run, I got a letter from the 9th District Chair, 9th Congressional District that we're in here, and said that I had qualified to be a delegate at the Democratic National Convention. The way that the delegates work there very quickly is they pick one man, one woman, one man, one woman. And the way the vote was allocated for Bernie got 2 delegates in the district, and Hillary got 8. So they had to have one man, one woman. I was the only man that qualified, so I kind of got in there by default. So I had a dilemma. I had to choose, run for county commission or as a Republican, which I really wasn't, or go find out why the Democrats are broken, why they're not talking to working class white people. Why have we been excluded from that party? So that we kind of
stay focused. I don't want to lose this,
yes.
But you're talking about why they shifted away from working class white people. That's what you said.
That's correct.
Continue on.
Yeah. Okay. So that's why I decided not to run for the Republican office. It was just going to be too weird. I mean, it was like, well, what are you? Are you a Democrat or are you a Republican? Well, today, I think everybody asks themselves that. Am I a Democrat or am I a Republican? Well, labels have been laid out, and people have either been forced into a camp or they willingly walk in. But I have always kept my options open. I admire a lot of the things that conservative people believe in. But I also believe a lot of the things that the liberal people believe in, because it was the way I was raised. I was raised at 50 years ago. I was 12 when Martin Luther King was killed, and that has an impact on young people in our age. And I began to have a lot more empathy. And that's kind of where I am today. I'm just a horribly empathetic person, and it's just so easy to just don't worry about other just worry about yourself and stuff. And I'm just not wired like that. So I kind of drift toward the Democrats, who are a little bit more inclusive than the GOP should be. But the biggest problem I have with the GOP is they lie. They've been lying to voters for 20, 25 years on issues like abortion, on issues like guns, on issues like immigration. It's just fear. It's just, is the pounding thing that has driven the conservatives into this, like, circling their wagons. And I want to come in there and go, hey, look, there's another point of view here. I agree with you, but have you thought about it this way?
Okay, you put a whole lot out there. Okay, so let's break down a couple things you put out there.
Okay.
So you went to the Democrat National Convention.
Yes.
Okay, and you were a delegate for Bernie Sanders?
Yes.
Okay. Who did you vote for President of the United States?
That's a good question. I voted for Gary Johnson. The reason why I voted for Gary Johnson was because...
If I'm correct, Gary Johnson was the Libertarian?
He is the Libertarian,
okay.
Yes. I was also a delegate at the 2004 Libertarian National Convention.
So you went to the convention, you were a delegate for Bernie Sanders.
Yes.
And then you went on to vote for Gary Johnson.
Yes.
So you did not vote for Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton.
That is correct.
Because the Clintons are what pushed you away from the Democrat Party.
Yes. Well, what they represented was the neoliberal policies that have been getting us in trouble for so many years. They also represent what we call the donor class. And that's the rich, white, elite liberals who want to keep the status quo. These are the neoliberals who meet the conservatives on things like war and entitlement programs and things like that. These are people who don't care about working class whites, working class blacks, or working class browns. They don't care about us unless we are providing our labor to enrich them.
All right, let me ask you just a couple more things, and I'd like to have you back basically just to discuss some of your philosophy on moving away from the Democrat Party. You obviously moved back to it, okay? You're running as a Democrat in a very conservative district. And let me say this, and then I give you the floor. You did not run for Gilmer County Commissioner because of the opportunity to be a delegate to the convention, but you did qualify as a Republican, and you said, your words, that you went and immediately said, I'm a rhino, I'm Republican in name only, but you knew that was the vehicle to get the job.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So if you knew then that was the vehicle to get the job, why are you not attempting to run there's a primary challenger already on the Republican side. Why didn't you not go and run on the Republican side again? Because that is, right now in this district, the best vehicle out there, might I say. I don't know how I framed that, but you understand where I'm going.
I understand.
Can you answer why you're running as a Democrat?
Because of my grandchildren. I have grandchildren, and I'm concerned about their future. And
but why not a Republican?
Because the Republicans are not concerned about the future of our children. They're only concerned about the immediacy of getting a vote right now. And they're going to tell voters anything they have to. They will promise them anything that they can to get a vote. And it's a lie. We know it's a lie. You know it's a lie. You know it's a lie. I know it's a lie. I'm not going with the party of liars. I'm not going to be a part of the bamboozle.
I'm with you now.
Okay. That's why.
But let me know if you don't feel I'm giving you the opportunity to explain yourself. But the party of liars, the party of liars. But if we sit here and again, I'd like to get you back and maybe debate. And this is an interview, so I don't want to get turned into a debate. But when you say party of liars, I mean, isn't the other side as guilty as being party of liars?
Part of them are, yes.
Part of them?
Yes. There's definitely a split in the Democratic Party, just like there is in the GOP. You've got the establishment GOP, and you've got the Tea Party. And then you've got the whole corporate thing on top of that. It's the same way the Democrats. You've got the establishment Dems, and you've got the younger people that are getting involved, the people who are turned on by Bernie Sanders' message about a hopeful future. Bernie's message paralleled Donald Trump's message, talking about working class whites. Bernie was the only person on the left that was talking the same type of populist rhetoric that Donald Trump was. And that's why I like him. No, I don't like everything about Bernie Sanders. Yeah, he's kind of a wild guy and stuff, but he's focused on future generations. He's focusing on what can we do to help our children rise up out of this. And the GOP, I'm not hearing that. I'm seeing decades of cutting public school funds, and then, oh, here's an election year, let's raise it up. It's just It's a very complex issue, but yes, I am a dino. Just like I'm a rhino, I'm a political independent, okay? And I'm just using this office as a vehicle to challenge the status quo that is controlling the state. And that's why I'm running as a Democrat.
Okay, let's change direction. You give us a pretty good, a pretty deep look into how you see things in general. Okay, let's narrow it down to the 7th district. Okay, the voters, the actual people going to make the decision in November, because you're on the Democrat ballot, and you will be right there till November.
Yes.
Okay, so there's Gilmer County, Fannin County, and a portion of Dawson County. Trump won these counties, especially the two here, Gilmer and Fannin, 70 plus, in the high 70s. And there's been elections where, you know, at least 70+% go Republican.
Mm-hmm.
How do you plan to compete against that? What kind of message do you have? Let's stay focused in the 7th district. Because one, you're here today saying that David Ralston should, one, not be Speaker of the House, and two, should not be their representative, correct?
That is correct.
That's what you're saying. So what kind of message are you going to give the 7th District, the people here, to convince them to vote for you and not their Speaker of the House?
That's another excellent question, Chief, and I'm still formulating that, okay? How do you reach out to people? Well, first of all, you find a common ground, okay? And there's some common ground on the Second Amendment. There's definitely an extremely high percentage of the voters here are tired of cannabis prohibition. You would be amazed at the people who have approached me, who are very open about their cannabis consumption up here. It's a very popular issue. It's in this high 70% with conservatives. David Ralston represents the failed war on drug policy that the GOP on the state, local, and national level has embraced for decades because it milks folks. Tough on crime, tough on crime, tough on crime. And what it is it's tough on poor citizens. And so I think that putting right out front that we should be talking beyond relegalization. We should be talking about how we're going to set up the distribution system, agriculture opportunities up here in the 7th District for growing agricultural hemp and medical cannabis and recreational cannabis. Are we going to allow small stores to open up like we've allowed liquor stores to open up? Are we going to have a regulatory model? Are the big corporations going to come in and take over like they have the other states? Or are the people going to have a representative in there that's going to fight for small business, okay, and make sure that the small business and minority people have a fair shake in this multi-billion-dollar industry that's coming up? How would you like to have your property tax totally eliminated? Wouldn't that be cool? Cannabis tax would cover that.
All right. Well, all right. Let's.
That's one thing. Go
ahead.
So the other thing is, look at this county. Look at these two counties. 80% of the jobs in this district is retail. That is extremely precarious when you're talking about percentages of recessions and inflation and things like that. We don't have a core industry here. We don't have an identity other than we're a place where the Appalachian Trail starts. Why? Why is a man who knows all the lobbyists by their first name giving big stadiums to Atlanta, Cobb County, getting businesses to Columbus and Savannah, and we get crumbs? We have nothing. Why just one industry? He's one of the most powerful men in the state. Why can't he just bring us something that we can build on? We need an identity. Well, I mean, he was nice, and he gave $60,000 to the Playhouse there with some strings on it. Well, that's great. How about a $6 million investment in this? Can we bring in some manufacturing jobs so that it'll bring in more people and raise our tax base so that everybody raises up? The incumbent is not interested in enriching our district, or he would have done it a long time ago. If I was Speaker, this would be the best district in the state. And right now, we're just awful. Well, the only thing we excelled in is suicide rate. It's
okay, all right. Oh, well, okay. All right, you put a lot out there. So let's start breaking down. What if I said, well, at the end of the day, the people out there are going to say, well, this Rick Day's a nice guy, but all I got out of it is he wants to legalize marijuana.
That's a lot. I think it's a lot.
Okay, no, I'm just saying. Yeah. But you say cannabis, and I understand that. The majority of the audience understands cannabis. But, Rick Day is running because he wants to legalize marijuana. Okay, that's, all right, let's say that. Then second, let's say this area is the, fishing capital up in Fannin, trout, apple capital. Agro-tourism here is enormous. Wineries, it's become an outstanding place for people that have opened wineries just left and right in numerous amount. Craft beer legislation has been passed to help small brewers. There's been several things. There's a new college, North Georgia, University of North Georgia is going to have a Blue Ridge campus where kids can have dual enrollment and offer more core classes right here at home. I mean, what if, I said these are all, and I'm not saying they're positives, I'm just saying these are the things that are out there, and what say you to some of these things? Are they not accomplishments for the district?
They're not enough. We need more. The vineyard winery model is the perfect parallel for a person to envision what business is going to be like here with cannabis. It's going to be the same kind of small grow and these little exclusive brands and these bottles and these kind of things. That's the same kind of thing that we're going to have here. So we're going to take that vineyard model and we're going to multiply it so that any mom and pop can grow in their backyard and have a little thing and have a flea market or a farmer's market and make money off of it. The thing, there's money to be made here. There's tax money, there's infrastructure money, there's revenue that comes in from this, and we're missing out on it. We're missing out on $1 billion a year for each year that the GOP incumbency is forcing or not allowing this to happen. I'm not going to promise that I'm going to legalize cannabis. What I promise is if you'll elect me, David Rawson will no longer be in a position to prohibit that. Okay, listen, people just want to have the truth told to them. They don't want to have smoke blown up their skirt. And I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know what I can get done up there. Probably not a lot. Probably very little, but I'm not that man. And I'll do what I can to help this district, unlike the current incumbent, who just doesn't seem to care except when it's election time. Then he seems to care.
All right, let me ask you some pointed questions so we don't run out of time. And like I said, we've got till November. You're on the ballot, and we'll have an opportunity to have you back. So let me ask you some pointed questions.
Sure.
You emphasized a long list of Republican lies. You said they've told so many lies. Let me back up and just ask you so that people can get to know Rick Day. So, Second Amendment, where do you stand on Second Amendment?
I am very pro Second Amendment, but I do not agree with the NRA's definition of the Second Amendment. Now, I own guns. I own sidearms. I have a carry concealed permit. I am pro-gun. However, I have noticed a trend over the last several years where mentally ill people have gotten access to weapons and have used them. Okay, the question is gun abuse. It's not guns itself. However, I can see how a weapon that was originally designed for military use, and military only uses guns and rifles to kill people, not to hunt, not to target practice, but to kill. If it was originally designed, it needs to be addressed. Now, how do you address it? You can't confiscate weapons. I would never advocate the confiscation of any weapons, and I'll stand up and I will fight for your right to own any weapon that is not a weapon of military origin. Okay? So if you already have a semi-automatic, it's yours. You keep it and do whatever you want to. You can't sell it. You can turn it in, but it's yours. It's yours to keep. I would look at legislation that would limit the sale of future semi-autos to new owners. I'm also a big fan of looking at liability insurance for gun owners. I think that that's a reasonable compromise for this issue. The young people that are getting involved, the Parkland people, this David Hogg guy, I see there's a lot of angst and consternation and a lot of memes coming from my conservative and libertarian friends about this. And all I can do is say, your fears are overblown. Nobody's going to take your guns. And if you elect me, I will make sure nobody takes your guns. I will be that voice in the Democratic Party that is lacking right now. Rural white people are lacking in the Democratic Party in the state. And I want to be that voice and say, hey, wait a minute. You've got a constituency here, and this is the way they feel about that issue.
All right, I got to stay with pointed questions because my next guest is here. And I got to move along. We can get you back in here. Pro-life, pro-choice?
That's a great question, and that's another part of the GOP bamboozle.
The only reason I ask these questions is the district you're in.
Yes, the district I'm in.
I know the voters you're talking to this morning.
Okay. Right now, the fact is that in this district, it is almost impossible to get an abortion. And there's not a lot of people seeking abortions right now. The reason why is because young people are keeping those children. They're keeping those children because they're drug addicts and they get a check from the government. So they're literally using those children that they would normally have terminated the pregnancy, and they're using that, and it's a taxpayer burden on all of us. Okay, the fact is that the GOP will never outlaw abortion. They need your vote too bad, and the people who, if you give them that abortion, and abortion goes away, the GOP voter base will go away. You ask most evangelicals, and their main issue is abortion, and if that issue is solved, then the GOP will disintegrate. They're bamboozling you. They'll never, ever, ever outlaw abortion.
So you think they need to yell pro-life, and if it does get solved, as I would say, solved or ended, they wouldn't have an issue to yell about to bring the voter back home or to excite the voter. What say you on the same parallel that the President of the United States says, well, that's why Democrats don't want to solve DACA. Yes. And I don't want to go there right now. Let's stay focused in the 7th District. Pro-life, pro-choice.
Okay.
I understand.
I am pro-reproductive right. Okay. That's a very important distinction. Okay. I do not favor abortion. I would counsel a person against abortion, but I would never get in between a woman and a doctor or a man and a doctor and try to tell them what to do and what not to do. If you want abortions to eliminate, you give women access to reproductive right, give her education of reproductive rights, how to keep from getting pregnant, and give her access to birth control. There won't be abortions. Okay, but this is not about abortion, and you know it. It's about the sin of sex by single women. That's what it's about. That's when you boil it down. You boil it all down. A lot of evangelicals will tell you to your face, this is really about punishing women who have sex outside of the marriage.
Okay, I gotta frame a couple more things. Are you working with the leadership in the Fannin County Democrat Party, Gilmer County Democrat Party, and Dawson? Are you working within the leadership? Have you already met with them, the party leadership in these counties, and have their support? And is there a game plan to run in this election?
Well, to further add to the confusion of if I'm a Democrat or not, I've been on the newly formed Gilmer County Democrat Executive Committee for the last year and a half, trying to help move them away from the establishment Democrats and more into a little bit more progressive wing. The short answer is yes. I've talked with them. I haven't met with Fannin County yet. I'm scheduled to meet and talk at a Democratic Women's Expo in McKaysville in a couple of weeks. And we don't have a game. I have a game plan, but this is going to be an unusual campaign. I'm not going to campaign like typical politicians are. First of all, I think yard signs are ugly. They are eye pollution, and I pledge right now I will never lay a yard sign out in public. And I challenge all of the other candidates at all the other offices, Democrat and Republican, to accept that challenge and pull those yard signs up. There's no reason for that.
So you don't know that if you have the support of the Fannin County Democrats and Gilmer, and you haven't pulled that support together yet? Are you working on that?
Yes, I'm working on that. To be honest, I am just kind of counting on the Democrats to fall in line behind me. What I'm going after are the political independents.
Okay, one more question. Got to wrap it up. What if, and here's what maybe viewers are thinking, okay, what if, because if the Speaker of the House currently was not reelected, if he would not be reelected, and not only you being elected would end this district of having the Speaker of the House, but it would also end this district of having a Republican, and this district would have a Democrat representative that's in the minority in Atlanta. I mean, how do you convince this district? Is that something you're going to have to think about long and hard, of how to convince this district that being in the minority in Atlanta will be okay for now or whatever as a Democrat, because Democrats are in the minority?
Again, Chief, all excellent points. And first of all, what has Rosslyn done for us? Okay, that he could do, and he hasn't. Okay, so I can't do any worse. I can't do any worse. All right. The second thing is, it's just a matter of time before Georgia turns blue. And so the Democrats are not going to be in the minority, and working class whites, especially rural working class whites, are going to need a voice in that party. I need to go down there and tell those little folks of color and those little women,
so what you're
little gays and stuff.
You got to get down there and get ready, because you anticipate the state will turn blue.
Yes, and I want to represent those conservative values as well as liberal values too. Politics are complicated, and everything is all topsy-turvy now. What is a liberal? What is a conservative? What is an independent? Well, Rick Day says it's time that we break the logjam, and the GOP has had so many years to fix our problems, and things are just getting worse.
Close it up in 30 seconds, whatever you want to close with. Because
first of all, I want to thank you and your wonderful staff for having me here today. I am humbled that you would take the time to come out and have me have exposure to all of these wonderful voters. To all you voters out there, hello. You'll see me on the street. I sell tie-dye. I'm the tie-dye guy. I'm a small business entrepreneur, and I've done a lot of different things, and I understand your problems. I understand. I don't maybe not understand all of the solutions, but I do understand the problems. And my email is open. rickdday@gmail.com. I'm not hiding behind a campaign, anything like that. And I promise you, when I'm elected, you can contact me. You can reach out to me personally. You can't do that right now with any of your representatives. They don't care about you. They don't care about you anymore. Elect me. I care.
Thank you, Mr. Day. I appreciate it. I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office, North Georgia's only live online morning show. And we continue our series of bringing all the candidates, as many as we can, via phone or in the studio. And today we've had Rick Day. He's on the Democrat ballot for Georgia State House, District 7. Thank you again, Mr. Day. Take us to break.